Good morning. If everybody could find a seat, we will get started. Thank you for joining us this morning as we celebrate the graduation of Peace Officer Basic Class 26A 171. Director Bain was unable to be here today, but sends his congratulations. My name is Jesse Curtis, and it is my honor to serve both as Deputy Director of the Academy as well as your MC for today's ceremony. We are also live streaming today's event and welcome those who have joined us online. That number, 26A 171, does have some meaning. 26 indicates the year. A indicates the first Peace Officer Basic of 2026. And 171 denotes this class is the 171st graduating Peace Officer Basic from our Academy. This ceremony is steeped in history and tradition. Veteran peace officers who began their careers in Wyoming, who graduated from our Academy, have shared in the same sense of accomplishment and perhaps even relief felt by today's graduates. Peace Officer Basic Training graduation marks a time of transition for these officers as they begin their law enforcement careers. This transition takes them from individual contributors to public servants who must now sacrifice on behalf of others. This transition is not easy, and not everyone is successful. These students have every right to be proud of the hard work and accomplishments over the last 14 weeks. But today's ceremony is not just about the graduates. It's also an expression of thanks to their families and agencies who have supported them during their absence. We welcome audience participation in today's ceremony with any yells or cheers as we celebrate the success of these students. It is more than appropriate to share in the overwhelming sense of pride, honor, and joy that will be felt here today. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand and welcome Peace Officer Basic Class 26A 171. Class, please come forward. Please remain standing for our Pledge of Allegiance and invocation. This class has selected their classmates who are military veterans to lead us in the pledge. Veterans, if you'd please come forward. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We are pleased to have Tim Rickert, a member and past president of the Wyoming Law Enforcement Chaplains Association, with us to deliver today's invocation. Chaplain Rickert.
Please bow in prayer. Heavenly Father, we come to you in prayer this morning on the behalf of these graduates and thank you for each one of them. I thank you for their willingness and desire to serve their fellow man in law enforcement. I pray for them as they leave this institution and go back to their respective communities and families and loved ones. I pray that you protect them and those who support them in their daily lives. I pray that their labors are rewarded with the satisfaction of a job well done and appreciation from those who know them. I thank you for this institution of higher learning for those who commit their time and effort into training those who go through these hallowed halls. I pray for your protection and blessing over each one of them every day. In closing, Lord, I thank you for the privilege of living in America and ask that you protect our President, Vice President, and all those in government today and every day. I pray for your protection for our military and law enforcement over all this land and abroad. I pray that our freedoms will not be taken away. We will always be one nation under God's direction and blessings. Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. At this time, I would like to introduce a few of the people seated before you today. I will introduce the man to my immediate right in a moment. To his right is Chaplain Ricker, whom you've already met. To his right is Robert Terry, Executive Director of the Wyoming Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission. And finally, Warren Steele, who serves as our training manager here at the Academy. No organization can be successful without the support from behind the scenes, and we are no exception. As we speak, 3 of our most vital service sections remain at work elsewhere on campus. It is their collective efforts that make daily training and today's ceremony possible. These sections include our food service, custodial, and maintenance sections. Even though they are not in attendance, please join me in offering them a round of applause for their hard work and dedication. Our office staff are known for their dedication and efficiency. Without them, we could not accomplish our mission. Would the members of the office section with us today please stand and be recognized? Our last section is our instructional staff. This group instructs a wide variety of topics and also serves as team leads, coaches, and coordinators. Instructional staff, would you please stand and be recognized? Next, I would like to ask those county sheriffs, chiefs of police, and agency administrators to please stand and be recognized. It's no simple task for these administrators to clear their schedules and personally attend their officers' graduation. Thank you. Finally, I'd like to recognize all command staff, middle managers, first-line supervisors, and law enforcement coworkers who are here with us today. Would everyone representing a law enforcement agency please stand and be recognized? Next, I'd like to recognize the class themselves. Let me take a moment to summarize the training course that these graduates have completed. The Peace Officer Basic course is 635 curriculum hours, which is 26th in the nation. The course is outcome-based and student-centered, focused on developing 5 core competencies: criminal law, interpersonal interactions, professional skills, operational skills, and investigative skills. These competencies are measured by 19 performance standards, including legal authority, conflict management, community service, critical thinking, problem solving, professional responsibility, controlling people and circumstances, accurately gathering and disseminating information, and determining the evidentiary value of items and information, just to name a few. There are 162 topics totaling over 2,400 learning objectives. These students spent 68% of their time practically applying concepts as they learned them in an effort to achieve outcomes that satisfy those performance standards. The learning environment required resolve, initiative, creativity, adaptation, and personal accountability to be successful, conditions similar to those that they are returning to. It required them to use what they learned, not just learn it, and they have performed very well. Please join me in recognizing this class for their accomplishment. It is now my honor to introduce our keynote speaker for today. He began his law enforcement career in 1986 with the Kansas Fish and Game, and then moved to Wyoming Game and Fish Department in 1988, where he was stationed in Green River. He has served as the Douglas Game Warden since 1994. He's a 1985 graduate of Fort Hays State University and WLAA Peace Officer Basic Class 90A64, a day or two ago. He serves as a field training officer, an advanced boat accident reconstructionist, and is a member of the Game Wardens Association Honor Guard. He is the 2006 Shikar Safari Wildlife Enforcement Officer of the Year and received the North American Wildlife Enforcement Officers Association Life Saving Award in 2004. Several months ago, he received the honor of being pinned with Warden Badge number 1, designating him as the longest-serving game warden in the state with 38 years of service. It is my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Warden Rod Liebert.
Thank you, Officer Steele, and thank you, Academy staff, Pastor Ricker, and the class of 26A171 graduates. When Officer Steele notified me that he wanted me to be the keynote speaker at the Law Enforcement Academy graduation, I asked him if he was serious. He told me that I'd been an officer for a long time, and I thanked him for considering me, and I was very humbled that he would ask me to address the new graduates of class 26A171. Since my graduation in 1990, I have seen a tremendous number of changes in law enforcement. When I was first started, my supervisor issued me my first pistol, a Smith & Wesson .357 Magnum revolver. Not quite the size of Dirty Harry's .44 Magnum, but pretty close. A shotgun, a pair of handcuffs, and a ticket book. He told me to qualify tomorrow for my firearms. Then he told me the location of the camper trailer I would be staying in for the summer. The reservoir I would be working for the summer was 30 miles south of town, and to check in with him in 3 weeks. He also stated if I had any questions to call some experienced game warden to ride with me and give me some training. I did all the paperwork by hand, typewriter, with carbon paper. You probably don't know what carbon paper is, I'm guessing. Then we would turn it all into our office administrator for filing. They were also known as secretaries in the old days. Law enforcement training has come a very long way in 38 years. The Wyoming Academy has expanded the course curriculum at this academy from the 6 weeks I attended to the present 14 weeks. Hopefully today, I might be able to give you some ideas of what you might run into in future years. You're going to run into situations that you have never dealt with in your life. One thing you need to know is working law enforcement in Wyoming, you are going to have to respond to some situation with some type of critter involved. Doesn't matter if you're PD, SO, or Highway Patrol. One example is one day I received a call that there was a bobcat keeping some people at bay from coming out of their house in their front door. This is in the city limits of Douglas. So I called the local biologist, told him to bring a dog kennel over, and we would check this situation out. When I got over there, the bobcat was sitting in the front yard, and the people were inside the front door, and the husband had a rifle in his hands. Well, lots of things going on here at one time. So all I did was I told the biologist, said, well, let me check this out first, and I'll see what we can do. So I walked over, got in the yard. I walked about 10 feet from the bobcat. I leaned down, and I said, here, kitty, kitty. Well, he just kind of stared at me like he didn't know what was going on. I thought, well, I'll give it another try. So I said, kneeled down again. I said, here, kitty, kitty. And that bobcat took about 3 bounds in about 2 seconds, and I figured, well, I guess we'll find out how this is going to go. About that time, he jumped at the last, lit on my back, laid down and wrapped his legs hanging from around my neck, and started licking my hair. Back there, my hair was brown at that time. The only thing I can say is you're going to run into things in law enforcement, being PD or SO, whoever, and you're going to run into things where you're going to need help. Please do not hesitate to call one of our biologists or game wardens for help if you guys need it. It is important you keep a written journal or now a journal on the computer or tablet to be able to look back at these situations and know how you dealt with them to use them for future problem solving. One thing you need to know, please do not write in your notes or keep in your work computer something you do not like to see on the front page of the Casper Star-Tribune or headlines on the 10 o'clock news. Also, attorneys love to subpoena journals for court cases, just to give you a hint. Learn to write well and communicate with others well. As officers, we are supposed to know everything, and we are supposed to be able to do everything. The public has set a high bar for officers to live up to. Most importantly, if you don't know something, just say, I'll have to check on that. If you do not contact them back, they will hold that against you and all other officers other than you. So make sure you contact them back. Communicate with other law enforcement agencies in your area, including probation and parole, federal as well as state. You would be surprised at the number of names that are common across all law enforcement agencies. Do your homework. Remember, Wyoming is a state of small towns and cities. If you wear a uniform, it does not take long for everybody in your area to recognize you in or out of uniform. They know your name, even though you do not know theirs. You will get to be a point in your career where your wife will not even go to the grocery store with you. I know this because my wife won't go with me anymore, because one day we went to the grocery store in Douglas and it literally took me 3 hours to get a gallon of milk. It was during hunting season though. You will have friends you don't even know you had, and all your neighbors will hate you or love you. As officers, we are examples of how to live in these small towns. You are watched and everybody wants to know your business. Be that example of honesty, dignity, and honor that we take an oath to live by and perform by. Treat everyone the same, because in these small places in Wyoming, word gets around fast. If you treat everyone the same, you will have no problem sleeping at night. Be diligent and relentless when working cases. Be detailed in your crime scene investigations. You will have to write a citation or arrest someone you know or are related to sooner or later. Be careful of special privileges. I wanted to live in the mountains when I lived in Kansas, and one reason I moved to Wyoming was because of that. But also the other reason I moved up here was because if I was a warden in Kansas, I'd probably have to arrest some of my relatives for wildlife violations. So, you know, it will happen to you sooner or later. Not that I didn't give a call to some of the wardens in Kansas and give them a tip once or twice. Anyway, we as officers are held to a higher standard than anyone else. Become involved in your local activities like coaching your kids, sports, being involved in FCA, going to church, and having kids' days for activities for them to get to know you as a human being and not just an officer of the law. In Douglas, one of the PD officers has a cops and bobbers get together. Groups of kids and officers from Douglas get together and go fishing for a day. It's a great time. The kids love it. Remember, people see you in different towns or cities know you are an officer. Whether you are in uniform or not, they know who you are. Be that example that people talk about and not the officer people gossip about. No matter what you do, you will have complaints filed against you in your career. Don't take them personal. Just make sure you know you didn't do anything wrong. Some of the biggest complaints I've had in my career may have been from when I issued a verbal warning or a written warning. So just to let you know, it's not always the citations that gets a complaint. In closing, I would like to offer these tidbits of advice. Operate in life with God, family, and work being your most important things to worry about, in that order. God is your armor while you're on duty. Your family is your support throughout your career that will get through each day and every day. Being an officer puts you on a higher level of responsibility every day. Be prepared at all times and keep your head on a swivel even when not in uniform. Numerous times while I've been traveling with my family, I've had to make phone calls, stop for wrecks, and other times where I've had to witness some type of illegal action when not on duty. Don't be afraid to call for backup. It's always better safe than sorry. In the warden ranks, the International Game Warden motto we live by, that also could be for all law enforcement, is know all that makes up our natural resource and the land on which it thrives. Know the people who share it and keep them as happy as you can. Keep the outlaws guessing, give honest people the benefit of the doubt, and hold no mercy for crooks. But above all, be fair. Thank you.
Thank you for accepting our invitation to be our keynote speaker and for your remarks. Within each class, there are individuals who distinguish themselves through their performance. At this time, we will recognize those officers who have achieved distinction in this class. Staff Instructor Lang, would you please come forward and present the Physical Fitness Award?
Thank you, Deputy Director Curtis. During basic training, students participate in over 40 hours of physical fitness training. This includes aerobic, anaerobic, core, and strength training, nutrition, and the importance of maintaining a healthy lifestyle. Students are tested physically from the moment they arrive day one, starting at 0700, until their final PT assessment, which was just last week. Each assessment includes their maximum number of push-ups and sit-ups in 1 minute, as well as their time for a 1.5-mile run. The top physical award goes to the student who has the highest cumulative percentile score during the final PT assessment based on age and gender. The winner completed the following: 61 push-ups in 60 seconds, 58 sit-ups in 60 seconds, and a 1.5-mile run in 9 minutes and 47 seconds. The WLEA Physical Fitness Award for Peace Officer Basic Class 26A 171 goes to Officer Ambrose Fakler from Cheyenne PD. Staff Instructor Alquist, would you please come forward and give recognition to those who excelled in firearms?
Thank you, Mr. Lang. To prepare for final proficiency scores, Peace Officer Basic students shoot approximately 1,500 handgun rounds at distances of 3 to 50 yards, as well as 600 rifle rounds out to 100 yards. In order for a student to achieve certification, they must shoot a minimum proficiency score of 80% with their handgun and patrol rifle. The WLEA Top Gun Award is given in recognition of an individual's outstanding performance and dedication to firearms excellence. The winner in this class shot an average of 100% with their handgun and rifle. The WLEA Top Gun Award for Peace Officer Basic Class 26A 171 goes to Officer Caleb Thompson from Cheyenne PD. Staff Instructor John Allred, would you please come forward and give recognition to those who excelled in academics?
The students are tested continuously as they progress through their basic training. They must meet established minimum requirements in order to receive their certificate of successful completion. The top academic award goes to the student that achieved the highest academic cumulative average on examinations throughout basic training. Specifically, they must pass 12 examinations totaling 2,600 points. The winner in this class had a cumulative exam average of 98%. Out of 2,600 points, this student earned 2,553. The WLEA Academic Award for Peace Officer Basic Class 26A 171 goes to Officer Marshall Simonson from Jackson PD. Each class elects a spokesperson to represent their class at graduation to share their collective thoughts and experiences from the training. At this time, I'd like to invite up class speaker, Buffalo PD Officer Christopher Thomas.
Morning, everyone. My legal name is Christopher. I go by Cody. That's my middle name. besides the point. I don't know, most students don't know that there's a prerequisite for a class speaker. You gotta be 40 or greater, gotta have a high GPA, gotta be ridiculously good looking, and you've gotta have a mustache. My friend Adam Reber recently cut his mustache. He was nominated class speaker, but now he was deferred to me, so I have that honor. One prerequisite that I didn't mention that came up recently is that you also had to have a brush with death. That's not a light matter, but I'm going to tell my story, and then I'm going to share some dad advice with you. So, March 1st, 2026, around 8:30, I was leaving a sporting event in Gillette, watching my son swim. And I was traveling south on Highway 59, and I got into a head-on collision with a drunk driver. He left his lane of travel into a ditch, and he went into a critical speed yaw and slid sideways into me at approximately 115 miles an hour. Sadly, that man was killed on impact. I don't know who he is, but he had some chances that day to make some good decisions, and he decided not to. He had a couple warnings from family members to stop drinking, stop fooling around, and to not drive. And that man made the decision anyway to drive. And I am not in the habit of speaking ill of people who have died, but that man made a stupid decision. If you are in the habit, and if your hobby is drinking, if your excuse for holidays or special events are used to drink alcohol in excession, in great amounts, you need to hear the warning from me as a survivor to be better. Change your mind. Do something else. Listen to your family when your wife says something against you making decisions to drink more and more alcohol. The answer from you should be, yes, dear. I will be better. After I got into my collision, I ended up on the side of my truck, on the passenger side, and I was unconscious for approximately 2 minutes. And when I came back to consciousness, in my great vocabulary, the first thing that I said was, "Ah! Oh, God, help me! God, help me! God, help me!" I had no idea what was going on. I was awakening from what I thought to be a dream, and I thought that I had arrived safely at Academy, and I was waking up from a dream. When I realized what had happened, I was buckled in sideways, and I realized I might still be in the middle of the road in traffic. Silence, darkness. There was a fire over to my right. It was later discovered that that was the other person's engine block that exited his vehicle and rolled down the road 100 yards. I climbed out of my truck and I called to the other vehicle, and I was desperate to hear that there was somebody alive over there. I couldn't hear anything, I didn't see anything, and by that time other vehicles were pulling up, and the headlights of those vehicles lit up the scene, and the man was partially ejected from his vehicle. My glasses were gone. They were among other my clothing items, and by God's grace, I couldn't make out his face, but he was just as twisted up as his vehicle, and I wish I could show you pictures of what his vehicle looked like and what mine looked like, but I should not be standing here today. I am blessed to be walking, I'm blessed to be talking, and I'm very blessed to be alive. Somehow God wrapped me up in those 2 minutes and protected me from various items that were in my truck, including a hatchet, a chainsaw, a small arsenal of firearms. There was a handsaw in there. People, my first dad advice to you is don't carry sharp objects in your truck, and if you are going to, put them in a bag or toolbox. I have small injuries to my body, mostly concentrated around my hip and my guts. My second bit of dad advice to fellow officers and fellow protectors is that if you're going to appendix carry, take it out of your waistband before you put a seatbelt over it and get it smashed into your guts at 70 miles an hour. I have a tattoo that says Ruger right below my belly button. So that's enough of my story. I'm going to give you some dark stats about DUIs and drunk drivers. Approximately 34 to 37 people die every day in the U.S. due to drunk driving. More than 50 people die annually in alcohol-involved crashes in Wyoming. If you pass approximately 150 cars over 2 hours while you are traveling and use a national nighttime prevalence estimate of 1% to 3% for impaired drivers, you would likely encounter 1 to 4 drunk drivers. During weekend bar hours, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., some safety experts estimate that as many as 1 in 10 drivers on the road may be impaired.